it was a bit chaotic, but I feel like it kind of made sense given that I think the way that you self-described in that episode was an ADHD golden retriever,
Jeez.
which I loved.
So classic, so classic.
It's great.
Classy. That's awesome.
Class A. So for people just joining us now, we have a wonderful guest today joining us here on the Science Actually Presents Nerd and the Scientist podcast.
Again.
Right? We have the incomparable Sarah Aamidor, a multidisciplinary biologist, because being singularly disciplinary is far too boring. If you didn't hear the first part, stop what you're doing and go back and listen to the first part because it's spectacular. Sarah, welcome back.
Welcome back,
Thank
Sarah.
you
Thank you
for
for
having me
coming.
again. It was very fun the first time. Let's see what we can do for the second time.
We were starting to get teased about some of the horribly gross things that bees are capable of.
What?
Towards the end. And then she's like, okay, we'll save that for another time. Well, it's welcome to another time.
Today on Another Time. I think what actually happened from my perspective was that you, through your career, have like worked on so many weird and wacky things that when we had planned for you to be talking about these weird and wacky things, but even to get to them, like the fundamentals of how bees work are in themselves so weird and wacky that we just got stuck there. And
Yeah,
it was
actually,
amazing.
my professor from my master's, he just got an Ig Nobel, and that's my aspiration now, to get an Ig Nobel, I think. Yeah, I got
He
it.
got
No
an Ig
way!
Nobel. Kavi and I were just talking about this not long ago, that we want to do an episode on Ig Nobels
Well, I can hook you up with Barry Pincher.
because they're the best.
Amazing.
Please.
Well, for the listeners who aren't, let's say, cultured, can you give a rough explanation for what the Ig Nobel Prize
Well,
is?
the Ig Nobel Prize is kind of the antichrist of the Nobel Prize. It is given every year by Nobel laureates through a committee, and it's very serious. The way that they nominate you and do the whole process. Anyway, it's done by you're given a prize for some sort of. They kind of say that it's a useless piece of information, but a lot of times it's actually
Mm-hmm.
something that is really cool, but not helpful. Some of it is made out of research that was
Right.
seriously done, and some of it is just people that are having a bit of a go. The rule is that it has to be peer reviewed and published. So it can't just be something that you're making up. It has to be scientific. It has to have fundamentals. And every year they
Right.
just make up categories. So there's never the same category coming up. Yeah, so it's I mean, I know that it's more complicated than that. I'm not an expert in Ig Nobels, but the ceremony itself is always very funny. It's just a fun thing. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have something to add about. Yeah,
I
it's just
love the Ig
yeah,
Nobel. It's
it's fun.
great. The first time I found out about the Ig Nobel, I misread Ig Nobel. I just saw Nobel Prize, and somebody won it because they levitated a frog with sound waves. And I'm like, that I thought I'm looking at some BS stuff online because not everything online can be taken seriously. Nobody won a Nobel Prize for levitating a frog. with sound waves. It was an Ig Nobel Prize, and there was an actual reason behind it. They wanted to prove something that they can move a living thing with the body
Like a
chemistry, mostly water or something.
Yeah.
And so they
conductor
did it
or
with a
something,
frog,
right?
and they did it. It's great.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
And so, can we ask what
yeah.
your master's advisor? You were
Oh,
saying Barry.
yeah.
What did they win the
They
award for?
got
I'm
the
very
so
curious.
it's Carmen Cohen, Barry Pinchot, and somebody else that I don't remember their name, and that is terrible. But they got the Ig Nobel for aviation. Okay, so their category was aviation, and they checked how much alcohol endemic Israeli bats can have before they are too tipsy to fly. And it actually has a really good kind of foundation because it seems that US bats have a high tolerance for alcohol, so they can actually go for the more um, kind of sugar heavy fruits that already started fermentation, which is better for energy. So they just wanted to see if the same thing is also in bats that live in Israel, and they found out that the Israeli bats don't do very well with alcohol. They become they have problems with echolocation, and their flight is a little bit tipsy after kind of low amounts of alcohol. I think 10%. I don't remember exactly, but like pretty low compared to others. So yeah, drunken bats, aviation.
Israeli bats especially get drunk easy. Okay. All right.
Israeli bats are cheap dates. Okay, noted.
Yeah. To any American
Um,
bat thinking of going to visit
Yeah.
Israel, and you want to pick up on some Israeli bats.
well, this. I feel like we can do like part 3 and part 4. We'll never actually get to Sarah's specific research, but
Nope.
this is kind of related because you did do research on migrating
Migrating
bats, did you
birds,
not?
and we didn't feed them any alcohol. Sadly, there was no
Only
alcohol in my master's. There was just protein, so not as exciting at all.
no drunk birds. Got it. Okay, yeah, just writing that down in my
I would love
notes.
to know what the tolerance of birds are because I mean they eat fruit, right? So I think that it's just as legitimate to do an experiment on how much birds would eat a fermented fruit as it is for bats. Especially if they're migrating. I mean, I think that that's my one of my yeah. I may have a chat with Barry about that.
You often
I mean,
see in
we
the
might
news,
need to.
like you often see in the news, like monkeys that just have no fear of tourists on the beach in Thailand or whatever. They just grab their alcohol. I mean, they've learned so much. They can tell the difference between what's a water bottle and what's a purchased beverage, and they go for the purchased beverage, and they know how to open it, and they know how to like chug it, not just sip it, but they drink it down fast. I mean, we just covered bees and bats and birds and and monkeys, and they all like booze. So there's got to be some kind of running thread there. That's it. I'm gonna get a degree.
Wait, we didn't. Hold on. The bee
No,
alcohol
there's no
No,
connection.
bee alcohol
no, I missed that. I
connection,
overstepped
except
the bees.
that when we collect our bees, we put them in 70% alcohol. But that the effect is very different, very different.
So then there's your connection. Boom.
But they're like swimming,
I
not
don't know if they're
imbibing.
swimming. They're very there's not a lot of action happening.
They're not
They're
necessarily
just playing
playing
dead.
dead.
Yeah, they're just playing dead. They're just sleeping. Put to sleep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pining for the fjords.
Yeah. I have gotten looks, everybody when they hear, "Oh, you're working on bees and, that's amazing, you're saving the bees." And I'm like, actually kill a lot of bees. And like, "Oh, how many?" And I'm like, "I don't know. thousands.
Oh no. I was about to hit you with you gotta break a few eggs to make a bee omelet,
Yeah,
but thousands?
yeah,
Sounds like a lot of
thousands,
eggs.
thousands. Yeah. But if you think about it correctly, you're not as horrified because actually we collect the workers or the drones. So the worker females or the male drones. And both of those, they're part of a collective, right? They're
Mhm.
part of a colony. So you should think about them more as cells than
Right.
actual, I know this is horrible what I'm just saying, uh, individual creatures with their own, like, yeah, that was horrible what I said. But I mean, it's kind of true.
It's like taking skin
Yeah,
samples
it's
from a
kind
human.
of true. Look, there's no ethics. Let's be honest here. There's no ethics on insects or anything that doesn't have a backbone. So science is quite open with that. And yeah, I mean, insects, they live hard and die quick. Okay. So, what's 1,000, workers in a colony of 10,000?
10%.
10%.
True, but like one colony, right? And like the queen is, yeah. Anyway, my,
Me
my,
and Kavi's brain is one brain.
We are part of the
my
same
karma
collective.
is not clean.
We were given a math
My
question.
karma
Solve
is
it.
not
Solve it.
clean. I am aware of that. But I mean, that's science. I mean, in the end of the day, if you want to do science,
Yeah.
then Kobe talked about breaking a few eggs, but you have to take samples, and yeah, I think that when you're looking at bees, taking workers is the
Yeah.
least of the evils that I have done in the name of science.
Yeah. I mean, I can't talk. Like I study supernovae, and you can't make a supernova
Yeah,
without
but you
killing a
don't see
star.
it.
So
Yeah.
You're
yeah,
not the one that is doing speed.
yeah. But I observe it, and by observing it, something quantum.
True,
That's right.
true.
If you observed it, you did it. Way to
Yeah,
go. Way to go, Thanos.
Soon in our neighborhood.
that's me. So I am excited to
Mm,
talk about the weirdness. So for folks who didn't quite follow the last few minutes in terms of workers and drones and bees in a colony, part one of the episode, or the first episode that we did, um, really we covered like in great detail. A lot of it was new information to myself and Benjamin, or at least myself. But yeah, Benjamin's pointing himself. Yeah, me too. Definitely go back and Sarah did a great job of like describing how bees work. Um, but specifically, the part that we didn't get to that I wish we had was the topic of your PhD, which was the haplodiploid aspect, which totally blew my mind when you described it. This idea that like there are two sets of chromosomes in mammals that are diploids. Sarah's about to correct me if I say anything wrong, so I'm going to be very careful. Uh, two sets of chromosomes, one from each parent in mammals. Those are diploids. With haploids, you basically have one set. And so in the case of female bees, there are two, but male bees, there's only one. And that is very, very weird. So that all male bees are essentially brothers to some extent, um, in some
And
sort
she
of
also
chromosome sense.
mentioned that towards the end of last episode that she's actually witnessed or recorded anyway 2 male bees making a kid.
yeah,
Am I right?
There was,
yeah, there was that.
oh,
Yes, I remembered that grossness right.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
let's dive in. Let's go into all of like the juicy beeness that we didn't get a chance
all
to
right, so
discuss.
I'll recap a little bit. So yeah, so we have our bees, and our bees are not like us. So we are all, half of us are from my mom, half of us are from my dad, and that's kind of built in. We have to have that. In bees, um, as Covey said correctly, the females are diploid, so they're like us. They have a mom and a dad, but the males, they only have a mom. So they got either one of the two chromosomes from their mom. So they're all either, they're all half brothers or full brothers. Well, actually, they're all full brothers. Anyway, that's all what they have. They don't have anything from any um, other source. So this means that the whole
Mhm.
system of creating a new bee is a very open system because you will get a bee with 6 legs, 4 wings, a body that looks like a bee, eyes and all that, either with just one set of chromosomes or two sets of chromosomes, which is really rare. I mean, that's the only situation in the animal world in general. So it has to be open, and I think I talked about this last time, that in organisms that are diploid, there are all kinds of safe gates put in place to make sure that you are getting this diploid system and that you don't have an overload of the amount of expression that you're getting. So if you have one set of chromosomes that are saying, make A from your mom and one from your dad, then you may find yourself with a double amount. So there's this whole system that silences one side of the chromosomes. Um, and then we get like a human or, some sort of diploid organism. But in bees, you don't have any of these safeguard systems.
Mhm.
There's also even earlier safeguard systems about not having extra sperm inside. So in all organisms, many sperm try to get to the egg. Um, so you need to have a winner, and everything else should be removed from the system. But in bees, it kind of seems that there is that system, but it doesn't work perfectly. Again, because it's a very open system. It kind of says, if you're there, we'll use you. If you're not there, we won't use you. You will still be fine. Um, so, so what you guys were talking about, and where things get really, I think, the weirdest in my PhD, although there were other weird things, were when we kind of dove into gynandromorphs. So gynandromorphs are sex mosaics.
Mhm.
Some of you maybe have seen, huh?
You're what?
Ah,
What
sorry,
are they? I didn't hear that
sex
word. What are
mosaics.
they?
So um, yeah,
Sex
so sex
mosaics.
mosaics. So that
Okay.
means many other organisms also have sex mosaics. That is when you have some cells from an extra origin. Okay, some people say that if you have a heart transplant, you become a mosaic because you have cells that are from an extra organ. But that's already philosophical. But if you've ever seen a butterfly that kind of half through it has one color of wings and then another color of wings, right? That is a mosaic. It's called a sex mosaic because half of it is female and half of it is male. Okay. Um, yeah, so
Oh.
it's pretty cool. There are different reasons why it happens. Sometimes it's because of the loss of a sex chromosome during early development. That could cause that in many organisms, but in bees, because the system is different, you don't get female and male through sex chromosomes. You have this whole extra layer that if you're getting both female and male in the same organism, that means that you have more than two parents in the whole system. So I'll now explain that, right? So if you have a normal fertilization,
Please.
you have a normal fertilization in a bee, right? So you should get a female, right? So all of it should be a female. Now, if we catch a female worker and we genotype it, meaning we check its genome, and we find out that in some of those organs, let's say in the leg, we actually have a male. Now we can see that by genotyping, or we can see it by just looking. So the eyes, so the female and male bees, they look very different. Okay, so the male eyes are bigger, the body is bigger and more kind of rounded. It doesn't have a sting. It looks more fluffy. So there are characteristics that we can just look at a bee and say, wait a second, that bee is not totally female, or that bee isn't totally male. And that's what we actually found in one of the aviaries, in one of the colonies that actually a friend, well, one of my colleagues were collecting data for a completely different experiment. And he just found some weird looking bees. He popped them
Mhm.
into alcohol, and they just went for a swim. And then he brought it back to me because he, known that I like cool and weird stuff. And I just checked the different parts of that bee, and I genotyped each part. So let's say one of them had a male eye, and then a female eye, and then a female body, but there wasn't any sting. So I genotyped each one of these parts that looked like a specific sex and checked if genetically they're also of that specific sex,
Mhm.
and also the origin of them, because it was pretty cool because my colleague, he was actually genotyping that whole colony, so we knew exactly who the um, queen was, and we knew what the fathers, the potential fathers, not all of them, but quite a lot of them. So we could identify what belongs to that colony pretty well. Um, and yeah, and when I was doing that, we had 11 bees. I found quite a lot of gynandromorphs, which means again that they were made out of both a diploid pod and a haploid pod. So that already means that they have more than one father, right? So if they're both diploid and haploid, they have more than one father. And actually, I found a bee that had three fathers and one mother. And it was a completely healthy, until it went for a swim into alcohol, bee. And it developed, it wasn't the system, again, the system allowed that, right? And then there was one peculiar bee that she looked like a completely normal female. I'm really not sure why my colleague collected it. Must have been just because it was in that cluster of weird bees. And when we genotyped
Mhm.
them, and you need to understand that all these bees were very young, so they wouldn't have come from a different colony. We know for sure that they came from that colony. They did not, it couldn't have been some sort of renegade bee that came to visit. Um, and she didn't have any of the queen's markers. So she was not a daughter of the queen. Instead of that, she had two of the father's genes. And I think that'll just remind everybody that with bees,
Mhm.
the queen, she mates once, and she mates with up to 40. Well, we don't actually know up to what, but we found up to 40 males, and she just keeps that sperm in her, okay, for the rest of her life. And she lives for about 3 years. And when
Right.
she's laying eggs, she just uses randomly, well, not randomly, but she uses different sperm to produce and keep that diversity in a colony throughout her life. So when I say that, about
How
three
long is a
years,
queen's life?
yeah,
And that
yeah,
sperm can stay mobile
yeah. She
that
has a
entire time, or
special, yeah, she has a
dang.
special little pouch where she keeps it, and it's all very much alive. Yeah. Once she stops
Okay.
laying, the workers will
Gross.
kill her and get a new queen. So she'll get voted out.
Well, yeah, obviously.
If you can't lay more workers, you get voted out.
Wow.
It's not getting voted out. It's getting murdered.
um, but yeah, they're usually pretty responsible. They'll lay a new queen, and they'll just go to the next life. Yeah.
Pretty, they're pretty responsible about their royalty murder. Well, we made sure we had another queen before we killed the first one. Duh.
Yeah. So that's those are the weird bees.
It's so wild to me how
Yeah.
different it is.
And
Yeah.
truthfully, I mean, people when I would give this lecture, I would talk about all this, and people would be like, "Okay, so how is that gonna, how does that help us? What does that help us understand better?" And I'm like, it doesn't. It's just cool, you know. It's just it's not um because people think that, oh my God, there's we're getting from two dads, we're getting offspring that maybe that says to us something about how you can implement this with humans or something like that, and I'm like, no, completely different systems. You cannot take this information and put that on to mammals, definitely, but even other insects. Just because we have so many, as I said in the beginning, so many safeguards to stop anything like that. You get really bad um, genetic um, repercussions if you have an uneven number of chromosomes, if you're missing chromosomes. Um, it, yeah, you either are really not okay as a human, like you have problems, or you just don't develop, right? So, this is not a gateway to find ways
Hmm.
to allow some couples to have same-sex couples to have babies. It's not saying this because so many people
Or
came
how
to
to get
me,
away with
also
killing a queen.
friends, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is no." It's just cool.
It's just cool.
So, so that
And we learned that they do this kind of weird sex with 40 other bees thing. Isn't that neat? Science done.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying this now.
Drop
If
the mic.
anybody
Yep.
wants to give me a Nobel for this one, I think, I'll take that. But but
I think it qualifies. It doesn't really, we just learned about them and it doesn't really
yeah.
do anything. And it's been
Uh,
reviewed,
there
right?
there are
She said
some
it.
that do something. Like I remember reading about one a few years back about a study done on particularly stinky types
Mhm.
of cheese
Oh,
and
I'm listening.
how those stinky cheeses mimic like a stinky foot smell, and in both cases that smell wards off mosquitoes, and there was a very specific application for malaria prevention by having these particularly stinky cheeses. Am I
I
remembering that
don't know,
correctly,
but
Sarah?
that sounds really cool. I
As our local
I
expert
have
of
not no, I don't know about that. Um, but yeah, but then I mean, bees are cool. I'm just gonna push on with the bees. The bees are cool in other ways. Um,
Mhm. Good.
they they also they can clone themselves. So it's called thalidicy. Um, and that is when let's say if you have a situation and not well, we know about pretty much one species of bees that actually does thalidicy a lot. Um, it's usually found in ants, all of the invasive ants that are really nasty, the fire ants and all that. They all reproduce through thalidicy. So what thalidicy means
Mhm.
is that we have um, just a female, and then she produces her zygote, and instead of one of the chromosomes kind of being removed from the egg, both of them stay. So that means that she can just produce another clone of herself without getting fertilized. So it's a really nifty way to invade new places because you don't need the males. Obviously, it has its own problems, which is just the fact that as you clone yourself, you erase your own DNA. So there's degradation of your own DNA. And usually over time, such a clone will die out because it'll just have too many mutations and it won't be viable anymore. But um, some organisms have found ways to overcome that, which we're still trying to research, so that the mechanisms of how a long-term clone can be, cloned and cloned and cloned and still maintain that good condition of DNA is not really understood at this stage yet. But in ants, it's pretty widespread. Ants, by the way, if you think that bees are crazy, ants are like next level. Okay, they just do absolutely everything weird in the book. But we're not going to talk about ants. We're going to talk about bees. So there's one species of bees that actually does this also. So the workers, which can't actually copulate, so they can't um, uh, have any kind of sperm in them to create a diploid normal
Mhm.
organism. They can still lay eggs, so they still have the whole mechanism. They still have ovaries, but they just can't reproduce sexually. So they can produce haploid eggs. So this is all bees, okay? All bees can do this, um, and they can all work well. All bees, all social bees, okay? So remember that most bees aren't even social, but I'm digressing now. Um, so in social bees, the workers usually don't lay eggs, right? As we know. But if the queen
Mhm.
is lost, then the workers will start to lay eggs, and all these eggs will be haploid. And the reason why they started to lay eggs is kind of that last Hail Mary of sending out the genetic heritage of their colony out. Hopefully, one of those drones will find a queen,
Hmm.
and thus their lineage will continue. Because in the end of the day, as living organisms, all that we care about in the end is to pass on our genes. So the way that the workers can do that is by just sending out their haploid chromosome out as a drone. But in one
Mhm.
place, so in South Africa, and these bees are called the Cape Capensis or Cape honeybee. They actually kind of found a rigging through this where they can clone themselves. So the workers can clone themselves. And instead of sending out a haploid drone that maybe will find a queen, they can actually produce another them. Okay, so they can produce another worker. Or if fed correctly, that worker could
Hmm.
be also a queen, right? So they can actually reestablish the colonies. Um, and one of the theories,
If they change the diet to have more
if they
protein,
change
right?
the what they're feeding um, that egg, yeah. Um, and the theory behind this is that in the Cape area, there's really high winds, and losing a queen was something that happened a lot. So just this mechanism where they can make a new queen was something that had a evolutionary advantage. Obviously, this has not been proven. This is just one of the theories. I really like it. It sounds cool. So if you know the Cape area, it's closed off with a mountain range, and that kept all of these self-cloning bees kind of within their own area until humans came. Uh, so so once humans came and took some of these colonies over the mountains, suddenly they found a bit of a problem because these workers suddenly started to invade other local species of honeybees and behave like a queen, lay a whole lot of
Mhm.
clones of themselves, get pampered and treated well by the workers, and then kill the colony in the end, right? And then all what that clone had to do is fly off to another colony and continue her everlasting life. Now, this happened in uh, I think the 80s and the 90s. So that's when this happened.
Sounds like the plot from
And
Aliens.
that clone still exists. So this clone has not had any of that
Whoa.
degradation that we have talked about. It is a huge problem on the other side of the mountain range. And you could ask, well, wait a second, why
Mhm.
can, this clone who's a worker get by and actually get these other bees to treat them like queens? Like, what's special about them? So the fact that these bees were able to create clones of themselves meant, when they were on their own side of the border, meant that the queen had to control them better. Okay, so the way that the queen controls all of her workers is through pheromones. Okay, so the pheromones stop the workers from producing eggs as long as she's around. Then when she dies or she's lost or God knows what, there's no more pheromone, and all of the workers start to lay eggs and try to send out those
Mhm.
drones. This is like generally in bees. But in the Cape honeybee, because the
Mhm.
consequence of losing the queen is another female, right? The queen really had to bump up that pheromone level. And the workers also bumped up their pheromone levels because suddenly they're not producing drones that really can't do much. They're producing something that can become a queen. It's worthwhile for them to overcome the queen's pheromones in order to lay an egg that will be them, but a queen in the next reincarnation. Does that make sense?
Uh,
Should I say it
yeah.
again? So there's a
It sounds like it's like a battle of the pheromones, right? And once they realize that they can produce something that's more worthwhile, they're kind of
yeah,
yeah, there's like a competitive pheromone
yeah,
production
everybody
process
thinks about a
happening.
colony as like this beautiful utopian kind of environment where everybody's working together. Yes and no. They're working together until the odds change, right? Until the situation changes, and then they will
Right.
change their behavior. And this is for everything, right? In the end of the day, we're all selfish, and
Mhm.
what we're kind of rigged in to do is save our own genes and get them distributed. Um, and as long as the situation between the queen and the worker makes it worthwhile for the worker to do the work and take care of its siblings, it'll do that. When that kind of equation changes, it will no longer be altruistic. And that's what was happening. That was the kind of the situation with the Cape honeybees, where there was a huge advantage of actually cloning yourself and maybe coming out as a queen. Whereas
Right.
just, taking care of your sisters, right, is a lot less kind of advantageous. So in the Cape honeybees specifically, the pheromone levels both of the queen and the workers were very high because, again, if you lose the queen, the worker with the highest pheromone levels will be able to lay the most amount of eggs and clone herself the most and have the most, chance to become the next queen. Okay, so there is kind of an arms race between all of these parts over here, between the queen and the workers between themselves. So that means that the cape,
It's like
yeah,
Game of
yeah, yeah.
Thrones.
So the queen,
Well, Game of Thrones and Aliens.
that. So the queen
That's a good idea.
pheromone. So the workers from the Cape Peninsula had very high pheromone levels. So when they passed
Mhm.
on to the other side of the mountain range and met with the normal workers, the workers saw them as something more than a worker. So if that worker killed off the queen, she could become the queen. But
Mm.
unlike the actual queen, she was not contributing in any kind of way to the colony. The workers that she produced, the daughters that she produced, weren't doing any of the work. All what they were doing was eating all the food and then going off to the next colony. And this obviously caused a lot of problems, and it still is a problem in that area of the world. That and that and it's all just one. one clone. Just one clone survived, and one clone is continuing for,
Wow.
whatever, 20, 30 years. Yeah. So that's really cool.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
How long does it take? I mean, we've covered that when somehow something happens and a colony loses its queen, and they have to replace the queen. How long does it take for a new queen to be crowned, I guess is the word? And how long can a colony go without a queen?
They can go until there's no more workers. And the development of a queen or any worker is a couple of weeks. So yeah, a few weeks until you get a new queen, and then that queen has to go out and mate, and then kind of come back and be able to produce offspring. Yeah, so start laying eggs. So if she doesn't do that, then that's a problem, and they'll have to, find a solution. But usually they will produce more than one queen just to make sure. So usually when there's a need for a new queen, there'll be more than one, and then they'll probably fight it out. But yeah.
Is it true that at the end of the summer, drones are no longer needed, and so the worker bees drag them
Kick them
out
out.
and bite off their wings and let them
Yep.
starve and freeze to death until the next season?
Yeah,
Season?
I mean, it
Is
sounds
that true?
terrible, right? And this kind of comes back to what I said in the beginning.
Yes, it does. And by the way, you shouldn't feel bad then for sacrificing a few, since they do it themselves en
I mean,
masse.
that's the thing, right? I mean, that's why I do, and I know that this is me, it's a bit of a cop out of my own, soul, but um, the way that the colony sees the drones really is just a means to carry sperm to a new queen. They don't do anything else. They don't have any other purpose. They will come back to the colony and they will get fed for a while by the workers. But if you're a failed drone, you're a failed drone, and you're not helping. So yeah,
You had one job.
job of copulating and getting your sperm into a new queen somewhere else, and making sure that the lineage of that colony lives on in another colony. That's the bottom line, and hopefully it will be. I mean, look, the holy grail obviously is that that sperm gets into a queen, because most sperm won't become a queen. Most sperm will become a worker, right? Right? At best, that's if it actually finds a female to copulate with, then most of them will never become a queen and will never actually be able to pass on that genetic material. So that means that you have to send a lot of this genetic information out there in order to actually get that next generation going forward. The second way how they do that is by swarming. So when you split a colony, that's another way to get your genes out, because just the workers and the workers themselves are dead end. So it doesn't continue on the lineage, the genetic lineage. The drones, as I said, most of them don't even find a female. The ones that do copulate with a queen, most of them will not actually recarnate in a queen, right? That DNA will just be used for producing workers in that new colony, and that's not helpful because they don't produce anything
Mhm.
unless the queen is lost, and then you have drones, and then again, the chances that anything will happen with that is very low. So really, there's a lot of just sending out a lot of messages in a bottle, if you prefer looking at it like that, and hoping that something hits eventually. Yeah. But yeah, they will kick out and they will kill males that
That's
are unsuccessful and keep on coming back, expecting to get food and shelter. It's like, no.
No.
But I explained to you also that I
Okay.
mean, when they copulate, they die, right? They have to invert their whole body to actually through,
Right.
Right.
right? So I mean, they're not there to to have a long, happy life. Well, maybe I mean I don't know if yeah they're there to just pass on a
It's
sack of sperm to a female. That's all what they're there for.
It's yeah, well, the life of a bee.
In termites, it's better, right? Like in termites, both
so
the males and the females work.
it's
Well,
better.
both the females and the males have, jobs that they do. They both have, you know, they're both doing stuff. So they're both contributing. But the males and bees, they just fly and copulate. That's it. I can see that there's a lot of like you guys are really uncomfortable.
No, I'm writing
Um,
notes. I'm writing notes about audio clips I'm going to gather, and so I can put on this episode. And I have a question about when drones die during
Mm,
mating. So, is it true when a drone dies mid mating, his
mm-hmm,
penis is ripped off and stays stuck
mm-hmm.
inside the queen? And then when the next drone wants to mate with the queen, that drone has to ram the detached penis, which is still there, out of the way with his own
Yeah.
penis until he copulates, and then he dies, and his schmeckle gets stuck in the queen.
Not
Is
completely
that right?
accurate.
I think those are the right technical terms, right?
I said penis and I said schmeckle, so I'm getting technically right and comedically right. So I'm pleasing everybody.
So you're half right. So yes, it is true that one of the ways. So again, think about this again as a kind of a race who can get the most of their genetic material in there, right? Um, so a lot of organisms, not only bees,
Mhm.
they came up with the idea that if we plug, right? We plug up the hole, then no other organism will be, no other male could come and copulate with this female, right? We plugged it up, that's it, she can't do it anymore, right? And a lot of insects do it. And in this case, yes, you're right. When they copulate, it doesn't always, but it's kind of built in a way. It has kind of a bobbed kind of edge. It's supposed to get stuck there. So if the next male wants to copulate, that needs to be removed. So they will try to remove it either by bumping in or just kind of trying to get it out. But it is not done by their reproduction organs. It is done by their mandibles or by their body because for their penis to come out, they have to actually tear apart their body. So the penis is inside. It's kind of inverted inside. So if this is the body, it's inverted. So to come out, it needs to like tear it all, like be like yeah, and it's really big. It's like half of its body. It's like a really big thing. It's not that big, but it's big. um and yeah, so it doesn't smash in with its penis onto the other dead bee's penis. No, that does not happen. But
Okay.
Not gonna lie,
So
this is
this
not where I saw
neither
this
did I. I
episode
did not
going.
think that we're going to be talking
been
about
incorrect
penises in
then.
the end of this episode. But here we are.
Here we are. Well, yes, you're right. It is sadly the end of the episode, and that means that we have to switch gears a little bit
Right.
into rapid
That
fire
was
round.
very
Yes.
Now, you've done this already once before,
Right.
but for that reason, we have come up with a whole new set of rapid fire questions that you get to test out.
You're the
the first.
first. You're the first to
Oh
do
my
this,
god.
and we're very excited.
I'm gonna have
Actually, I'm
so many
very excited.
blackouts.
Kavi's bored. Okay. Thank you.
All right. And you can let us know if you don't love all of the questions. We can,
I don't think I
we'll
can
figure
do
stuff
that.
out.
I feel like it's really nice of you, Kobe, that you're saying that, but I feel that if I do that, that's total
No.
cop out.
Uh, all right, first question. There are 11 of these. What is your favorite book about science?
My favorite book about science. So,
Or science
okay,
related
so
book, yeah.
Gerald Durrell, it's not really a science, it's kind of, so Gerald, I don't know if you guys heard of My Family and Other Animals, Gerald Durrell. He's the reason I think that I'm a scientist.
Mhm.
It's more a natural history kind of personal kind of life story book. But this is a guy, he definitely had ADHD and God knows what else. He was born, I think, in the 20s of the previous century. And he was one of the fathers of the modern zoos, and he's a self-taught naturalist. He did a lot of the collections of the zoos. He
Mm.
did a lot of the observations of the zoos, and yeah, I just love his books. I know that it's not really a science book, but I'll go with that.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I think it's a good
That
answer.
works. What is your favorite science fiction book, TV show, or
My favorite
movie?
science fiction, easy. That is Isaac Asimov. Come on, guys, seriously. Any
There you
of
That's
go.
them.
that's
Like,
like, yeah. That's how you separate the sheep from the goats. The real scientists and science nerds are. It's just, yeah. I'm still playing catch up.
you
Didn't
didn't
grow
grow
up
up
on
on. Oh
Asimov,
my
but I'm
god.
getting there.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. No. Asimov. Great. Especially the robot book.
All right. What is your least favorite? Your least favorite science fiction book, TV show, movie?
Um. So Philip. Okay. Um. Well, there's a lot of bad science fiction um, series and TV shows, which I don't remember them, but the ones that the science is so bad that you want to rip your head off. They're just looking at it and like you're saying. I mean, look, in Star Wars, right? Like things blow up and there's like a boom, and you know that there's not a boom, but everything else is really good. Like the story is good, but then there's the science fiction, stories where the ones that they use a pipette. So all of the science fiction stuff where they use a pipette as a needle, they use it. They use it and they inject each other with a pipette.
Right.
Those if people don't know what a pipette is just a glorified way to transfer volumes, very specific volumes from one place to another. But it looks a little bit like a syringe. So if they use that as a syringe, that's really bad. I'm trying to remember one that was really bad, that I saw. I don't remember its name, but a bad science fiction book that's actually a really good concept is The Man in the High Tower by Philip K. Dick. It's really,
Hmm.
really cool concept of a alternative reality, but the ending is terrible. I will not say anything else. Yeah, I just finished the book and I was like, what the hell? So, yeah, that I think is the one that I don't like.
Okay. Is there a flavor of ice cream that is overrated?
A flavor of ice cream that's overrated. Vanilla. Totally. Sorry. I
Wow.
mean, it just milk with
Okay.
sugar. I'm sorry.
That's so mean.
That is,
They're all full of sugar. It's ice
I
cream.
know, but it's like there's nothing. I mean, it's not this. It has no personality. It's like the blank slate. It's like the baseline.
No. All right. No, I'm not going to make this entire episode about how vanilla is amazing.
Wow. Yeah. No. We'll definitely have to see how controversial that question is as it
That question
continues
stays.
coming up. Yeah.
Well, I got a lot of backfire about the pineapple last
All right.
time, so I'm just gonna say. I
Oh,
did.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's see how much more trouble we can get you into with the rest of these rapid fire questions.
I love it.
Okay. Name 3 things that you would take with you on a long space voyage to another planet.
Oh,
First,
my
gut
my
response.
Kindle,
3 things.
a I don't know, food replicator, or at least, a good amount of plants. Um, and
Nice.
music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay.
Nice.
Next question.
Oh no.
I love this one. In your opinion, who has the best science documentary narrator voice? And can you please do an impression of that voice right now?
Well, I don't do impressions, so no. But um,
It's not up to me. I'm
it's
sorry.
what
It's
it
what it
is.
says here.
But I mean, the
I just
answer to
read it.
the
I'm sorry. You have to do it.
the answer to this is easy. I mean, we all know who's the ultimate narrative. But again, it's like, oh my God, I told you that I'm gonna have a blackout, so now I have a blackout to his
Who?
name. Um, what's his name? Oh my God, this is such an ADHD moment. Yeah,
David Attenborough.
Attenborough. I mean, Attenborough just has the best. Yeah,
That
that
guy.
guy. May he live to 2000. Um, and if you haven't seen
Amen. Yeah.
Ocean yet, go see it. Yeah.
And he sounds like
No, I don't. I can't. I have zero. My musical. My mom says that I fell off of horses too many times, but I think that it's actually just dyslexia. But it's one of the two. I can't.
Fair
I
enough.
can't do accents.
We're
I can't
we're
sing.
0
We
for
talked
1.
about
That's
this.
okay.
You're putting me. This is not an inclusive area. If you want me to actually try.
Okay, that's fair. Maybe we can switch gears a bit. If the Sarah Aamidor movie was being made, right? It's going to be a huge blockbuster movie. Who plays you?
Me? Oh my God. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody unknown that has curly hair and can't sing. I don't know.
Somebody I know. Nice.
Sorry. I'm not.
Giving an up-and-comer a chance.
I don't know.
all right.
Not Zegler.
Unknown. Sweet.
All right.
Do you remember the first event or experience that sparked your curiosity about science?
The first event. Uh, hmm, um, I think that it was just that my parents took me out for walks a lot, and I had a very long period of why questions. Um, I
Mm-hmm.
was looking at some old books, like children things that like I had from my childhood, and I wanted to be an astronaut. Like one of the things that was written down over there was like I want to be an astronaut. I don't remember why, but that was, yeah, I think that I just always kind of wanted to ask the question why. My parents do say that I had a very long period of why, and my parents dealt with it really well. Instead of just making something up, we used to go and we had all the Britannica um, encyclopedias. Yes, I am that old. It wasn't online yet. And we would open them up, and they would actually look for the question and read it out to me, look for the answer and read it out to me. So I think that I would attribute that to my parents. Yeah, that I'm so inclined to science. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
very sweet.
That's great. All right. This is going to be a very short question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite prime number?
My favorite prime number? I have 7, and I don't have a reason for it. So yeah, 7.
Okay.
Yeah,
7's a good number.
yeah,
I like it.
I
We
like
also have the math.com prime number checker ready on hand in case people give us some outlandishly large number that we don't know off the top of our heads. And I can confirm 7 is indeed a prime number.
Thanks for
Yeah.
verifying that.
You would have to have a really,
Just doing that part.
seriously smart ass person with very good math to be able to pop that out without,
Yeah.
I mean, some of the guests that we
They're
have
very
here.
smart. I know some
You
of them
never
are
know.
really smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll stay with the 7 and
That's why you're here.
ordinary IQ.
Next question. We're in the home stretch. If you had unlimited funding for a single science experiment or space mission, what would you design?
What would I design for an experiment?
Mhm.
Or mission.
Or mission?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I would really like to go to Europa and see if there's any life under the ice. I would really like.
That's
I would
exactly
really
what I
like
would
that
choose.
because that it takes that whole both biology and I mean mind blowing. I would love that. Do you approve, Kobe?
Nice. That's a great answer.
Oh
yeah.
absolutely.
I love how you took an astronomy answer and made it about biology. That was spot
That's
on.
like
That's
the
great.
best answer. That's awesome.
Multidisciplinary. It's great.
Boom.
All right, last question. I know that you said that you feel like you can't sing, but what is the one song that when it comes on, you can't help but turn it up and sing and dance along?
So I would say Queen Rhapsody. What is it called? Bohemian
Bohemian
Rhapsody.
Rhapsody?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can't. You have.
tune.
Yeah.
It's great. It's the one song that nobody can sing, but everybody
Exactly.
tries to sing.
Yeah,
Everybody
and,
needs
and
to.
then I feel
That's fair.
in place because I'm making up words just with the rhythm, and everybody else is too. And yeah, and you can do the head bobbing, and you can do the swaying. Like it has so many different. Yeah, it's very ADHD.
Nice.
I
Love
approve.
it. Sarah, thank you again for coming back and giving us another hour of your time. This has been so much fun.
It
Thank
has
you very
been.
much for having me. It was very fun. I enjoyed myself again.
I can't wait for part 3. I had a gaggle of leftover questions from part 1, and then I did a lot of more looking up more questions for part 2. So now I have leftovers from part 1 and from part 2. So you have to come back
Yay!
twice. Twice more.
Awesome.
And if
send
any
your
of
own questions next time.
if any of our listeners or viewers have additional questions, they're welcome to send them in.
Please.
They can. Benjamin, where can they find us? Where can they look us up?
You can find our lovely program. Just look up Science Actually Presents The Nerd and the Scientist anywhere that you get your podcasts. You can also find us on TikTok and on YouTube. As for me, just look up Science Actually, Facebook and Instagram and all the other good places. And Kavi, where can people find you?
Folks can find me at Fun Fact Science on all the good social media platforms as well as the bad ones. Sarah, where can people get in contact with you if they want
Probably
to?
for you guys, I am a nun. I really need to change it, I guess. But yeah, for now, I'm not as active. I'm trying to, but maybe I should. But yeah, yeah. I'm a ghost on the internet.
Nice. Or maybe by the next time you come on for part 3, we will get you onto some of the social medias.
Yes.
Because people deserve to hear about the bees. I need to hear. And to everyone, we will see you next time on the next episode of Science Actually Presents The Nerd and the Scientist.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.